Like a woman on a podcast. Heard but not seen?
That's how it should be for me.
That's the phrase, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like, yeah. I don't know. I don't even know how to riff on that.
You're like,
that just sounds right.
The inherent misogyny of what you just said, I don't even know what to say.
No,
I'm
like, no. It's so perfect, I can't even top it.
All right, and then just killing already. We're good. Check.
Okay. Oh, I have to get my notes.
Let me get.
Gosh, we have a big star here. I'm nervous.
I know I'm here,
Yeah,
you guys.
have Josh Brolin here.
All right, it is Friday, 11:05 a.m., September 26th, out of Chico, California. Welcome to the Living Directors Podcast. What a special day today is. I'm excited.
Well, we have a living director. Well, I guess you're a living producer in the studio and a living actor. So we're very excited to have you here, Dustin.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Glad to be here. Thanks for the warning that you were starting too. I like just going right into it, mid sip of coffee, and I realized that we were recording. I love it. Hey guys,
make sure we get the real you.
You are. You will always get the real me. Is this my good side? Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's the real Dustin.
Yeah,
everyone.
That is it. Thank you for having me on here today to be talking about South Park season 58. I'm glad to be here.
You're so welcome. We're excited to hear your take on, all the current juicy political
The
takes.
return of Man, Bear, Pig, and the Loch Ness Monster is what I'm here for.
Yes.
So, yes.
That's right, the Loch Ness.
With all these references you're dropping today, we need you on that one.
No, I'm good. I think I've the limit of my South Park knowledge. I just used it all up right there.
Dustin's referring to our normally scheduled episodes, Amy and myself, where we talk about the current season of South Park. But today, we're actually talking about a film with a filmmaker, a film producer, a writer, an actor of the upcoming film, The Fuzzies. First time that this is being broadcast to the public, from what I understand. Dustin Vaught.
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Good to see you again. I'm glad to be here.
Double intro. I didn't
He's
technically
back.
say your name.
He's
I'm
back.
with Amy D.
Yes, hi.
My name's Derek Allsweed. And let's talk about weapons, guys.
Let's talk about weapons.
Let's get in.
Let's get into it.
I wanted to start this out with a little maybe film icebreaker, if we may. This film is written and directed by Zach Kreger. Relatively inexperienced director. He did a film called Barbarian in 2022. Anyone know this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of it. He also did Miss March back in the day, and he
Yeah.
was one of the whitest kids you know, which rivals what's going on in this room right now. So.
Oh, he was an actor on that show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't. He was a actor, sketch performer, probably I imagine writer. I don't know for sure, but I'm just thinking about how sketch works.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that he's inexperienced considering the scale of Barbarian and some of his other work that he's done. So, but definitely this is taking his filmography to a new level with weapons.
Barbarian looked like a feature film. I haven't seen it. I just watched the trailer. It looked like a good film. What are your opinions of that movie?
By Barbarian? Yeah. So actually, when Barbarian came out, it was similar to Weapons. It shocked a lot of people by how good it was and how different and new it was. And similar to Weapons, it has an incredible tonal shift that should not work, but it does.
Oof.
And I remember when it came out that actually one of my good friends, who I won't name here, but he had a project that was going into pre-production that had a very similar plot line to Barbarian, and then he had to not do that project anymore because of how similar it was. But it did. Well, I bring that up mainly to talk about how we then saw a trend of similar movies to Barbarian the last few years, and I will not be surprised if we will see a new trend of horror films similar to Weapons.
Well, the way that films work too, it's not as if people are looking at Barbarian and going, I have to make the same film. It's just there's like a certain rhythm, let's say, in the zeitgeist, and people are just sort of intuiting it. And I think to Zach Kreger's credit, he's just getting it first.
Absolutely. I mean, parallel thought is going to happen regardless. I mean, we can talk about great examples of that with Wyatt Earp and Tombstone, even though there was obviously a lot of studio tension and problems are happening with those two massive productions. But those went into pre-production at the same time. So we always have examples of Parallel Thought, Deep Impact, and The Core. Those are some other ones of those types, you know?
I'm trying to think of...
Outbreak? Was there an Outbreaky movie when Outbreak came out?
Yeah, I think like Congo and Outbreak, and there was a few of those. Like,
Lest we not forget the Justin Timberlake dating movie and the Ashton Kutcher dating movie.
Oh, yeah, no Strings Attached and Friends with Benefit, those two.
Oh, thank you. You knew the titles.
Yeah.
That's how you know he's the professional, guys.
Or the professional nerd. I think it's more of what that is.
Hey,
yeah.
you know, professional something.
Yeah.
So, parallel thinking in terms of a film being produced, interesting topic. I wanted to bring up the different POV styles of a film and how we kind of backtrack. We have intersecting point of views. And I was going through some of the films that take on this approach. And they're some of the greatest modern films ever made. Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction are kind of the obvious ones that jump to mind.
I've never heard of those.
Yeah, excuse me, who were those by?
Yeah.
Tarantino. You know, but then we have PTA with Magnolia. We have Gondry with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. We have Linklater with Before Sunrise. We got Inarritu with 21 Grams and Amores Perros. I think he did both those, right? Nolan with Dunkirk. I mean, these are phenomenal movies. Gone Girl, Knives Out. Is this just like a locked-in formula to make a great film? Or
I was gonna say, I mean, like, I know that Kurosawa did Rashomon back in the day.
Oh, that was right. Yeah, I never saw
right.
that, yeah.
And I had the great pleasure of being in that play somehow at one point. So I learned how to, not even like that, but just I learned at a very young age about that format. But also after, you know, Dustin and I share an improv background for better or worse in this town, and Dana, our teacher, once she saw Weapons, knowing that Krager has a background in improv and sketch, was saying how it really takes on the form of an evente or certain improv formats, which are used very commonly by people who do the practice. So I think it's all and then some. Yes, and.
Yes, and indeed. That's literally what I was going to say. Thank you for jumping at it. I think you listed the movies that worked using, fragmented, some of the great films that, for those, there are hundreds more that weren't necessarily as good.
Sure.
Part of it is because I won't say that it's a formula for it to work, but, you know, when you have, you're creating a character-driven stories is what you're doing when you're breaking it up that way. And so you can see mysteries work great for that because you see the different vantage. I mean, even Columbo, every episode of Columbo was the same thing where we had, you know, each episode of Columbo starts with the killer's perspective and then you have Columbo's perspective solving it, right? And, you know, so you're right that it is a formula that has shown that it does work. And part of why, in my mind, it works for this one is that it kind of destabilizes what our perspective is as an audience. So we are questioning what is truth. And that's what happens. What works great with a mystery when you're trying to solve who done it, right?
Right.
And
it's also interesting, and we'll get into this theme later, but given sort of the overarching theme of addiction and alcoholism, it does sort of play into this what is truth perspective, which is your truth and perspective is very disjointed when you're under a severe cycle of substance abuse. And so I think that this movie really masterfully and beautifully it uses that as a theme to drive forward a mystery.
Absolutely, and I actually have that written down here is that, you know, that disorientation that we have two of our main characters that we see their stories. They're one's an alcoholic and one's a drug addict. Yes. Correct? So we see that they are disoriented and we become disoriented through that, trying to unravel what their truth is. And this fragmentation mirrors that of trauma and grief, which is what we see these characters going throughout this film.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also the fact that, you know, every human being has their own unique point of view and different takes on the same realities, quote unquote. And it's just highly refreshing and also accurate just to break down every single character's point of view. So when you have the chance to do that, it creates great storytelling.
I was just going to say, too, that the fragmentation, it helps part of the ambiguous aspects of the story and not forcing some kind of logic to us, because from a logic perspective, the film, it's kind of all over. Because we don't know what this world is, and I love that. I love horror films, and I'm a firm believer of this, that you don't need to explain the monster. That's why Halloween works. Sure. We don't know what Michael Myers really is or how he became what he is. We're not showing the monster, telling the monster story. And I think Weapons does a good job of that, just not spoon feeding you the logic, and so it's relying on this fragmentation and the ambiguity instead of forcing that.
It is interesting how that's such a powerful narrative tool to say less. Nice for the writer in a way too.
And when you're not overwrought with exposition, you allow for more emotional undercurrents to breathe, and for characters' performances to really shine more.
Absolutely.
And then Amy gets to give all her theories on witchcraft.
I can't.
I don't have witchcraft theories.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, come on, everybody.
It's not theories; it's fact.
It's fact.
Yeah.
I guess, and I've never had witch painted on the side of my car, so let's just get that for the record.
Is
the day's not over.
Is that you sad that you haven't had that done?
Honestly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Like,
okay.
how come no one's ever identified me and pointed me out and singled me out like that? Dustin, perfect opportunity.
Well, now I know what to do for your birthday.
Yes. Yes.
Just don't curse me on Jezebel, please.
Already done, Derek. So sorry, can't go back in time. Don't know that witchcraft.
I love you bringing up the kind of the detective motif with this type of storytelling. It's like a Sherlock Holmes thing. It's an Arthur Conan Doyle. I wonder if this is like a 19th century British literature. Give the story from different points of view to solve a crime style of storytelling. I wonder if it goes back.
I think it goes back to, I'm sure it predates Rashomon, but Rashomon's the first one that like really hit the scene and people were like, dang. But yeah, I think for a very long time, I'm not sure what year Rashomon came out, but I think for a very long time up into the nuclear age, everyone had sort of a shared truth, or at least a tribal shared truth. What?
I think 52, I'm thinking.
That makes sense to me. And so then all of a sudden, like, we have we split the atom, and everyone has an inner life, and everyone realizes we have our own perspective on things. And here we are with a multiple character retelling of very different perspectives.
From Oppenheimer to Weapons. Okay, let's get into the film, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, we open up. I'm gonna front load you guys with kind of a clump of notes, and then we can kind of back into it and pick out and talk about what we want, or we can go totally different directions.
Let's back into those notes, baby.
Let's do it.
I think we should just go all over the place like the movie. No, go ahead.
So we start off with this wonderful girl narrator. Great job by her. She says it's a true story. We're at Maybrook Elementary. It's a K through 5. It's a Wednesday. 17 classmates disappear from a classroom. They run from their homes at 2:17 a.m. We have Alex Lilly, played by Kerry Christopher, phenomenal child actor. He's the only kid left in class. We have a new teacher, Justine Gandy, played by Julia Garner. Beware of Darkness by George Harrison's playing as these kids ominously flee from their homes at night with their arms out like airplanes. And then we have a school vigil, and then we get into the character POVs. Yes.
I saw a quote on where Kreger got the positioning, or he said the seed of the positioning for the kids running with their arms out, and it was that shot of the child with napalm like running.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And there's other things I think that lend to that sort of that physicality, but I thought that was incredibly insightful. That was from the director's mouth. So. Wow.
Yeah, that's brutal. I had a joke I was going to make, but you mentioned the napalm, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
now.
I'm a lead balloon today.
So, yeah, there we go.
Bringing the alchemy.
Yeah.
Bring the jokes.
No, I was just going to say I was surprised we didn't get MIA's Paper Planes as the opening song instead.
That would have been way better to open with.
So, yeah. I feel like it's just a better song mood-wise.
Over Beware of Darkness by George Harrison.
I never heard of that George Harrison guy before, but MIA. She's a cultural icon.
Yeah, no, you might want to check. I don't know. He's pretty good. So
okay,
I hear.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll look him up.
Is it serious takes about the song itself? Did we like that choice?
Oh no, it's incredible. No, I think like that whole opening was immediately. It was like as soon as I was in the theater, sat down. I actually saw it with my 8-year-old father who hates horror films.
Good thing it was kind of a comedy as well.
Yeah, well, actually, he was like, he loves mysteries. So I was like, yeah, this is what it is. And I kind of went in blind, like I like to do with, I learned from Barbarian, like, I got to go in blind to his movies, period. And so I was like, I think you're going to like it. And he loved it, but he was like, I think he left it like, I don't know what I just watched, but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Which, good sign.
I think that was a lot of people's takeaway. The more I sort of exposed myself to people's point of views of what this was symbolically or just what they made of it, it was like I saw one that was like, okay, this seems like it could fit a lot better, but a lot of people just, I mean, it was like you said, there's a lot of mystery to it, and so people are just projecting their entire traumatic childhood upon it. And so on a separate note, Julia Garner, incredible actress. What a get.
So good in this.
Yeah.
Think so?
Yes.
She plays kind of the same character in every movie.
Wow.
I don't mean to, if I bring a little cynicism and nitpickiness to the pod, I'm not trying to.
No, that's okay.
Downer.
That's your character that you're bringing. You've seen Ozark? Because I'm in the middle of rewatching Ozark, and I'm just like, she's phenomenal.
I think with her, I get what you're saying, and I think she has a lot of emotional truth in her performances, and I think that we're seeing a lot of her come through with it, and so I think that she embodies a lot of her characters. So it can feel that she's maybe playing the same character, but I think what she's doing is she's maybe kind of doing a combination of Meisner, Stanislavski, some kind of method acting where she's finding herself and becoming a character.
Gotcha.
And so, but yeah, at times that can look at, you're playing the same character. I don't think it's not like an Adam Sandler where she's playing a playing a man-child every film. But
you didn't get man-child from her performance?
Well, actually, it is funny you say that. Yeah. Because it does kind of remind me of Charlize Theron in Young Adult. Performance in that, like that. Actually. And I would love to talk about the woman child roles at some point, because I think like that's something that I've written screenplays that have that character. I think it's a character we don't see enough.
Yeah,
that we feel like we have to put our female characters in these
Madonna horror sort of dichotomies.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And or put them to a different level, whereas we can allow the men to be buffoons.
Yeah, why aren't you like the female Judd Apatow voice? We just gotta get it out there.
I don't think that the female Judd Apatow should be another cis white guy. Personally,
I don't think it should be Amy Schumer either.
Yeah, but, I think Greta Gerwig is.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
no, I think she's nailing it.
I think Barbie is a pretty good representation of a lot of that.
Ooh, yeah.
Not to the extent of being a man child, but yeah.
I will say about her appearance, Julia Garner's character's appearance, Justine, right? Mm-hmm. I heard her in an interview talking about how she said, "I don't really care what I'm wearing. I just want to be wearing a sweater and these glasses." And she realized by the end of the movie she was like emulating Zach Cregger in his appearance. So, and Zach Cregger's personal story plays such a major role in this entire script. So I just thought that was really interesting.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, please.
Which his personal story?
Yeah.
Well, so this is getting kind of inside baseball, but I think it's like 217 or 218 when he wakes up. Trevor Moore was one of his best friends and passed away. They were both alcoholics, and he passed away while I think falling off a ladder at like 2:17 in the morning. So likely alcohol related. It's a lot about him just working through his guilt, and it's even said he relates to the character of Alex so much with growing up with alcoholic parents. If we kind of see Gladys as this invading force, and then alcoholism inverting the entire family system so that Alex is taking care of his parents, and then ultimately breaking the cycle.
Yeah, there's no actual illusion of his parents being alcoholics, but once that spell comes
I mean, they sort of use Gladys as like this invading an infectious force.
Gladys, played by Amy Madigan. We'll talk about her plenty today.
Well, that is so well said. That allegory, the metaphor, that's so perfect. Like that is absolutely how it is. And considering the potions, and they're imbibing in these things as well. Like and wow, yeah, that's a really good thought.
No, the more you look into it, like just knowing about Zach Krager, the little I know, what I learned today, and sort of if you even I sent to the group chat the symbol for AA, which is the triangle and the circle. That's what he keeps using over and over again.
Yeah.
There's the triangle that's used on her bell, which the bell is sort of a subconscious or a symbol, I would say, of like the dark subconscious.
With the 6, right?
Yeah, but the 6 characters. And so it's basically each character represents, according to this one incredible interpretation, I'll have to get his name and include it in the notes. But it goes into the 6 stages, sort of like there's like grief and projection and weapons and. I think it's just so profound how the entire movie starts with a weapon, and by the end, the weapon that's like formed against them, Alex learns how to use it, and it transforms into a tool. And so alchemy, which also has a very similar symbol to AA transformation.
Let's talk about weapons a little bit. To me,
like weapons themselves.
In relation to this film, the children are the weapon. That's the weapon that I took away. Obviously, there's the thorny stick and the hair and the blood, but the children are being used as weapons. I guess particularly in the end, right? Or just all people under the spell are being used as weapons, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But when we talk about alcoholism and the kids and how maybe children of alcoholics, do they become weapons in life as they get older?
Well, you have to weaponize yourself when you are a child of abuse. Whoa. Because otherwise you will take in things that a child's mind isn't ready to take in. So yeah, I would say definitely. But again, the weapon can always transform into the tool, and not like the tool in the like I'm being used by someone else's way, but the tool in that we eventually, learn how to not burn down a forest, but like cook our food, fire or something like that. All
right. Should we get into Justine?
Love her.
Okay, let's go. So we have the kind of like a Tarantino-ish approach. We get our title scene on screen there, telling us which story we're going to dive into. We're just giving the names of the characters.
Was there a foot shot? Shot of her feet?
That's what I thought you meant by Tarantino.
Yeah.
Hand and blood shots, finger shots.
Yeah.
Some face shots.
I thought that was a foot. Yeah, my bad.
Some face shots, a few face shots.
I guess I was projecting and hoping.
So we start with Justine, Miss Justine. I'm going to list off her entire chapter, I guess. We have the parent conference, and you can just stop me at any point you guys want to hear. We're introduced to Archer, Josh Brolin, Marcus, Benedict Wong. We see that Justine's an alcoholic, or she's become one anyways, since these children have disappeared. We have the witch painted on her car. We learn that she's on leave, that she oversteps with the students rather. Just getting a little invasive in their
Sorry, cameo by June Diane Raphael.
She was great.
And I did not expect her, and I was so excited to see her play this role. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
We're watching the movie as well.
Yeah, for the listener, the movie is playing in the background while we're going here. We've learned of Justine's affair with Paul, Officer Paul. We're introduced to the house, the infamous house with the newspaper up on the windows. Justine has a dark dream where we see Gladys for the first time. And we got the mom under the spell, the mother of Alex, that exits the house while Justine is on watch out and cuts Justine's hair in her car. What would we like to talk about with Justine's chapter here?
Does she have sex with her ex-boyfriend in this scene? I can't remember if this is this
That's
movie.
not until a little later.
His POV.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay. But it's
So we
kind
don't know
of
yet.
okay. It's intimate. Okay, because I have a lot to say about the logistics of that.
As far as we know, he actually is broken up with his girlfriend from Justine's point of view.
And we don't know that he is a recovering alcoholic as well.
Right.
So that's important.
Yeah.
And I think I'll just go real quick.
No.
So with her, I think it's so great that we start with her. Of course, she's our primary protagonist, and is kind of the audience's introduction to this world, and she represents a through line for us. And so we, with her alcoholism and this trauma and grief that she's going through, we already know that she is probably not a reliable narrator. So we are already being disoriented and priming ourselves to be like, all right, obviously what we're seeing is not what's actually going on. So we're already getting heightened. So we're starting the heightening just with her perspective, which I love the use. And I think Julia Garner does a great performance. She has consistently subtle intensity, and she does a lot with small emotional facial movement, which I think plays really well, especially in the driving sequences, in the her interaction with Benedict Wong, which I believe in that scene we do learn that she had a DUI.
Yes.
At her previous job.
Yeah. Well, I think so.
Yeah, which indicating that her drinking has historically been a problem. So maybe it is becoming more of an issue at this point. But yeah, it's more of a question. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah. I think that incredible performance, and I immediately cared for her. Also, is that that's why she's deeply flawed, but also am rooting for her.
My approach, I think, as a viewer to films like this is I'm constantly questioning, is this how people would actually react in this scenario, right? I guess we all do that as filmmakers. How realistic, quote unquote, is this? Even if it's an unrealistic scenario, are the characters reacting realistically? I thought that this teachers would be locked up, like facing death threats. Like if 17 kids actually disappeared from a classroom, the teacher's just there at the conference with them. Like that seemed a little unrealistic to me. Like her head would be on a stake in modern America. Like she would just be receiving horrible death threats from parents. I don't know. Did that seem, were you okay with that she's just there with the parents, or do you think that would be way more volatile in real life?
I think you're right, and this kind of goes to that with me, where some of the internal logic of the movie kind of maybe falls a little bit, but because of the actual themes themselves, I think because they're really trying to talk about group mind and hive mind through that, or group thought and hive mind, I should say. That was felt more of the commentary of what that was. I agree with you that likely she would be locked up, but presumably they go through and say that they've done their investigation and that she's not done anything wrong. There's nothing that she could be charged with, and so they had to let her go. Right. But yeah, I am shocked that she would put herself in the situation to continue to work there, and then to show up at this first parent-teacher conference, or the parent-teacher conference with all the parents. Yeah. But it does create a explosive scene, for sure. Which is actually worked great in the trailer, and it works great in the film from a thematic perspective of showing the stakes and the tension.
Also, not to get mega racial, but she is a white woman.
You're right. That is a valid point.
Yeah.
Meaning like she's
not a black man, and there would be a lot more scrutiny, and there would be a lot more assumption, and just like get him in the slammer immediately, versus a white woman who might have a little more, said by a white woman, a little more latitude to be considered not guilty by the police. And where we see her, the guilt projected is by the angry town mob, which is getting back to the group mind. But Archer projects all of his rage and anger, played by Josh Brolin, at Julia Garner's character, and that is, I think, the point is like, and really they're both wrong. There's, in the end, like, we understand that this has nothing to do with the other, but they needed someone to target their ire at. Yeah. And Archer quite literally means someone who wields a weapon. So there's that.
Yeah, I felt that, they even kind of toned it down a little bit with Archer. Like, his anger was still relatively cool under the circumstances.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, he's always cool. He can't not be cool. But, and she's kind of leaving the mob. She's leaving the conference, and, Marcus is telling her, go straight home, kind of get away from this.
This sequence right here, actually, this was such a gut punch to me. As a dad.
Yeah.
Sorry for audience. It's a sequence where we're introduced to Josh Brolin, his point of view, and he's waking up in his son's bed, who's been missing for some time. And so we're talking about that. It feels like a natural segue because this is just...
And you know what? To kind of mute the parent trauma of the film is not a bad decision. Like, you could really go that route, and it's just this gut-wrenching kind of...
I don't think it was muted. I think there was only one perspective of parent trauma. I mean, you get the mob, but then you also just get Josh Brolin as sort of the symbol of the parental trauma. And I mean, I think you're talking about it right there. It was, as someone, I think as a parent, if you're watching it, it's not muted at all. Yeah.
No, I mean, and I, like Amy just said, I'll piggyback, is that, he represents like that hive mind, is that they're all directing their ire to them, and we see that he becomes the leader essentially of the mob against her, and he represents that. And in the sequences, and it's so interesting to me, it does feel like it's hard to not, because of his obsession with the screens and watching the footage, as though he's looking for some other truth or some alternative truth.
Sure.
Well, unanswered.
Right, but you can't help but feel like there's some kind of commentary there about his obsession driving him to find some other truth that as though if he can't solve it, no one can, almost.
Sure.
And that he's unwilling to accept any other truth.
Isn't there a point at which he like literally leaves his house to go follow some sort of hunch and ends up right back at his house, sort of symbolizing, I suppose, the circular thinking of someone who is caught in this trap of I can solve it. I'm going to see it differently, and which would be its own sort of trauma, right? Absolutely.
And it's not until he actually reaches out and accepts that it's something not that his perspective is, that he actually makes real progress in understanding what is actually happening, because we have the interaction with Julia Garner, with Benedict Wong attacking them, that he's like, oh crap, I was wrong. Obviously this is something that you aren't the person causing this,
right?
So I have to accept my point of view and actually change my mind, which I think is quite an interesting thing, to have that character accept that his truth was false.
Great. I need to think for a second.
Sorry, we jumped right to Archer from
we did. That's fine.
From Justine.
And it's actually cool to have the movie on so we can kind of pace ourselves with this. I just the one thing about Justine overstepping. I guess she had a history of. I guess she gives a student a ride home. Any commentary on that? I mean, she is drinking, so that does lead her to maybe be a little invasive or overstep some boundaries because she's drunk. I know she stops Alex at a certain scene. It's kind of awkward. Anything to make of her overstepping her boundaries as a teacher with students? If not, we can move on.
I'm sure there's something there.
Okay.
I don't feel it to me, what the movie was trying to portray, or how I felt it, was that they were trying to show that, and she even defended how much she cares about the kids, to really reinforce that she would not do this. She's not capable of doing this. That's how I took it.
But also the alcohol clouds her judgment on how she does things. So that would be, and also she's unreliable. So that would be sort of, I think, where you're coming from, which is like she's obviously, objectively, this is like she's acting unhinged. But I think from her perspective, she's probably going an inch, and with the alcohol, not realizing it, and indeed going a mile.
And so remind me, so in the film, she has that interaction, and then we see in a flashback her interacting with Alex, like picking him up or giving him a ride. Am I
That's
misremembering
they
the
mention
sequence?
that. Just Marcus mentions that.
Okay, right.
There's a future scene where she stops him when he's like walking home.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going into his windows.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Very,
she's very clearly,
you're a former teacher, so you have like a different, like he's a dad. You have a different like perspective.
Yeah, when you were looking in your students' windows at their homes,
what was that like?
What was like? Did you feel like you were overstepping a boundary?
Well, when you are a coach, you do get kind of closer to players. That's a little different. But students, of course, you don't overstep anything. You're not you mind your business. Anyways,
So you weren't glug-glugging like 2 handles of vodka and then getting in your car and looking through your students. Is that what I'm
some
supposed
teachers
to?
do, but
sure, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you brought up the house scene too, because she's just, it's wild, and I mean, there are 17 missing children. There's just a little bit of like a doop-da-doo as the town carries on. Like, it would just be a little more like, this house hasn't even really been fully investigated yet. It's like,
we're not. Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, that to me is where the logic does ultimately really falter.
What do we do?
And I understand that we have to give some leeway. But
it is possible that it was investigated before Aunt Gladys got to town. Well, I guess not, because Aunt Gladys is the one that creates the
and we see the police investigation when they come and they talk to the dad and the
when
moms.
he's in a catatonic state.
Yeah,
that's
all of that.
The makeup
that
with
is.
But here it is. So if the catatonic state represents the state of alcoholism, right?
Sure.
Like, then there are many parents, I presume, that have given statements and been interviewed under the influence of like serious alcoholism. And
and their kid is missing. So his isn't.
And
but
it's like but you're not going to get them in a different state. And if I'm looking at it like I'm the cop and this guy's not catatonic, he doesn't look how he looked. He looks more metaphorically like fucked up, I think, to the audience. But I think if we're looking at it through the cop's perspective and we're using the metaphor of alcoholism, then this guy is just fucked up. And it's like, oh, this guy's always fucked up. And then you kind of... I did social work for many years, and it's not like you write them off, but it's sort of like, okay, there's different rules that are under operation at this house, and I legally, unless like certain things aren't being satisfied of like the child's well-being legally, then you really can't intervene.
Right.
And so it might just be like,
I think that's really well said, and that is a great metaphor for. You're right. I mean, these are nice homes as well. So these are obviously upper middle class families. They're a cis family. They're white. They're affluent. So the police are like, all right, you guys got your stuff together.
Flying under the radar.
Mm-hmm. There's not anything weird that we see. And so using that guise, you're right, of alcoholism or addiction itself as a cover, that's a great metaphor for it. Yeah.
Good point. We are introduced to Officer Paul, played by, is it Aiden Ehrenreich?
He was great.
Yeah, from Hail Caesar. Remember him? Also in Oppenheimer. Let's move on to Archer.
Oh,
we're
back
to Archer.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we were still in Justine technically.
Oh.
But we'll move along. Fine.
Oops.
That's fine. We please jump all over. So Archer, we find out he's like a construction foreman. He's aloof. He's obviously distracted, making mistakes on the job. He meets with the police chief, who is played by Toby Huss, and a bunch of stuff. Loved looking at his filmography earlier. Captain Ed.
Did you ever watch Pete and Pete, Dustin?
Yes, of course.
He was already on Pete and Pete.
He was.
I didn't realize that until he brought it up.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite character actors. He has, over 170 credits on IMDb.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I was just looking at it earlier. Anytime he pops up in something, I'm always like, all right, I'm gonna have a good day.
I associate him with Mike Judge stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so Archer, we go back to the parent conference, and we're gonna obviously revisit the same scenes here, or settings. He dreams of Matthew, so we have that sequence. We see him charting out that map. He's trying to speak to other parents, where we get a Justin Long sighting, Erica and Gary, played by Sarah Paxton and Justin Long. And he kind of Erica says no thanks to giving him footage, and so then he corners the husband and does a little workaround there.
And Justin Long in Barbarian.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the Archer chapter ends with the Marcus zombie attack at the gas station, I wrote.
Do you think Krager will become kind of a Cassavetes and using his own group, not thematically, maybe the alcoholism, but using the same cast over and over again?
I think most directors like to use similar people over again because they work well with them.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, I was just watching a rundown of Joe Dante, and Dick Miller is in every one of Joe Dante's films. We're talking about great character actors. You have people that you like to work, especially if you come up together.
Sure.
Like a lot of them came up, like Joe Dante and Dick Miller with the Roger Corman productions. But yeah, it's not uncommon to use, and especially then if your friend's willing to do it for you for cheaper. I know that's why my partner Josh likes to use me, because he knows that I'll do it for cheap or for free.
Yeah.
And so he can use and abuse me.
That's nice.
I think it's payback for marrying his sister.
Sure.
But you know,
gross.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it to be the norm in today's day and age. You know, Scorsese's doing another Leo film. I mean, yeah, there are a million examples. We got Nolan and
I was just trying to sound smart, guys.
Homeboy.
No, I think you're right though.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I mean,
for
I hope
supporting that.
I hope I keep seeing Justin Long in his movies.
I want to keep seeing Seth in your movies, you know?
I would like to see Seth in my movies too.
That's so
yeah.
great.
He's
yeah.
great.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, I think we've kind of you talked enough about, or we talked enough about the Archer chapter. His dream of Matthew. Yeah, you alluded to the bed.
So
and then the
heartbreaking.
maps. I mean, I guess just the thought I had as someone who's never had children, and just forgive me for these incredibly dark thoughts or topics. It's a dark film, right? Children disappearing. I was like, just the mystery of not knowing what happened to your child and that unique terror versus just like your child is you know, it passes away. Like the either or of that, like having closure or just having some hope, but you don't know what happened, and that unique kind of psychosis that
My
causes.
mom is like, she will fall asleep watching true crime, but she cannot watch episodes about missing people. Like that's where she draws the line, because it's too dark. Because she empathizes too much with the not knowing. So just to put that out there.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those movies where like I have a thing where since becoming a parent, like I become more aware of what content may be within it. If it involves children or it sometimes it can be harder for me to watch. This is one of those going into, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel because knowing how Barbarian was and how the theme of this movie was, how it might impact me, and it worked well. So I did feel connected to Brolin, and I felt like, I get all of that he's feeling, and I really liked the smaller stuff too, like him messing up at his job, like just simple things, like he got the wrong color door for a job site, and he was very clear that this thing is impacting every aspect of his life, and he's unable to, he's obsessing at a level that's so unhealthy, but I would be as well. And he has an interaction with Captain Ed where, you know, he's like, I would be feeling the same way, man, like if it was my kid. And I think that, like, every parent could resonate with it for sure.
And I think we've seen that dynamic a ton of times in films where it's the panicked parent who is confronting the investigating officer who is not doing enough to find their child.
I don't think if you are the parent of a missing child, I don't think there's ever someone who can be doing enough.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think that Brolin does a great job in this, and his performance is restrained, but we are a few months removed, right? So I would imagine that, you know, he's been on this roller coaster of up and down, and so he's probably at this point where he's like, all right, conventional law enforcement can't solve this. I kind of need to take it on. But that's what he's doing that. So he feels like he can't trust the system. So he has to go outside of the system to find the solution, which we talked about that earlier. But yeah, I mean, I get it, and everything he's doing, I would definitely be doing the same.
Completely. That's what I told the person I was watching this movie with. Like this would be me in terms of the maps. I need a map. I need some statistics. I need some graphs. Like those things are like the slightest bit kind of consoling. I think in a moment like this, you feel like you're getting something like empirically accomplished. And
actually, you know, it's interesting that you bring that up, is that he's been obsessing about these cameras and this footage, and then he actually relies on his skill set that he actually has, which we know that he's in construction. Right. So that I'm sure there's something to this as well, that he realizes that I do have a skill that I could use to apply this. So we see him using the maps and designing and creating this graph essentially with it,
which turns out to be kind of a simple solution in graph. Like, I feel like cops could have figured this out, but
well, it's also possible the cops did it. But the point is not like, okay, again, this is where it evades logic. Is it's not about him having all the graphs and the charts. It's about him using those things, arriving back in the circle at square one, having to reach out to new people, new perspectives before he can solve any sort of anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're just demonstrating that over and over again, and with charts. And
because he's created his own echo chamber.
Yes.
And then he's then forced to look outside of himself.
Wow.
To find new perspectives.
Yeah. What a relevant
a
theme.
Literal echo chamber of the circle,
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
He's in hell.
Stuff. We are watching the, I think, kind of instantly iconic Marcus attacks Archer and Justine at the gas station scene with the bloody face, the bulging yellow eyes, the teeth.
Yeah.
Really iconic scene.
I love that it's the black and white Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
Which just entered public domain. So I'm curious about the usage. I was curious about this usage of that shirt as well for clearance for that. Because that is definitely not how Disney would want their product used in the film. So
we like that now that Disney's doing what it's doing. We like a little bit of Disney punk rock perspective.
Love the public domain Disney reference. Okay, Paul, we're going along with the film in real time. This is great, guys. The Paul chapter. He's in his locker talking to his wife or just live-in girlfriend. I guess it doesn't really matter.
The person he's like seeing.
Yeah. Well, they're trying for a child together. Obviously, in a very committed long-term. She's talking about her ovulation cycle. If anyone knows about those, having to time those out, how it's a very committed relationship. Okay. Obviously,
I'm gonna call her his wife just for the sake of the pod. This is when we find out that he's a recovering alcoholic.
And she's going out of town.
Right.
That's the right, is that she's going out of town. She's worried about him at this point.
Yeah, it must be rough to be with a recovering alcoholic every time you leave town.
Let's go there. It's not only rough to be with a recovering alcoholic, it's rough to be in the body of a recovering alcoholic because everything is, you're so distracted from life, right? And that creates its own issues as an alcoholic. But then once you and I remember you writing something about this once when you were trying to stop smoking weed, or maybe you did, but you said, like, I thought everything was supposed to get better. And it's like, well, no. Life just is boring sometimes and it sucks. And you just can't distract yourself from that now. And the not doing the thing is what, like, is supposed to build self-esteem. But it's like, we as someone who's, doesn't smoke in the last year, it's like you are no longer distracting yourself from the mundane aspects of life. So, like, even something like putting a child in this world, there's like it's not hitting. He's like starting to really sink into like the regularity of his life, the fact that like everything is boring. I mean, there's just so much regiment in his life as a police officer as well,
which lends itself to the impulse to maybe cheat because it's exciting, or to get in a chase, a dangerous kind of chase in town, which we'll talk about here in a sec, that I have some issues with in general in real life. This
is the most sinister character.
The thrill-seeking aspect of the recovering alcoholic is significant. Yeah.
No, I think that again, it's a great performance.
It is.
You feel connected to him, but you're also a little sleazed out by him at the same time. There's a lot of emotions you're feeling. I think he plays it well.
Very well.
And it is one of those where he's, in theory, we're seeing him do everything correct. As he's recovering, and when we see it from his perspective, he's going about his day as he's supposed to. He's doing the things that he is to do in his structure. And it's not until it's something that's an outside force, quite literally a needle stabbing him, that then he falls apart.
Ooh, and there must be...
So it's a relapse that he's had that's outside of his control.
Yeah.
That then everything spirals.
It's the most terrifying thing that can happen to him in that day.
Is there anything worse than watching somebody get their finger pricked by a heroin needle?
Yeah, when you watch them get their finger pricked, and then they go on and consciously sleep with someone that night. That's when it gets worse. Sorry, that's why he's the most sinister character, because I'm like, this dude knew...
Yeah.
he was at a mystery of his own personal sexual health or his like immune health. Like
absolutely
terrifying.
And so I'm saying that, and I'm not trying to take responsibility away from him.
100, yeah.
But because I do want to say that it is a good metaphor that he is losing control because of an outside force.
Yes.
But he's not taking responsibility, which is of course a part of AA.
Yes.
And recovery is that you are taking responsibility for your actions.
Yeah.
So we then see him not be taking responsibility for his actions, including how he beats up on the guy, how he interacts with, goes to see Justine, and all the following behavior.
I love how you've brought to light how this is simply just a movie about alcoholism.
I mean,
it's about addiction. And,
it's addiction, yeah.
And living with addiction and how that impacts everyone around you.
And just look at the guy that he's with. I can't remember the character's name.
Oh, I'm about to say it.
But he's an addict. The whole thing is just about... And then, Josh Brolin becomes addicted to solving the mystery. I mean, there's just many ways. And then the hive mind comes. Yeah, this was a terrifying scene. And it's not... It's really... What's really terrifying is, you don't want to... You don't want to admit, I don't want to admit this. You don't want to relate to this guy.
Yeah.
But it's like, that might be my first impulse too, is to knock this guy the fuck out, because there's just a primal instinct that sort of overcomes a person when. I mean, yeah, if you're an addict, and I mean, I don't want to defend police officers in this scenario. Sure. And in that it's because he clearly then engages in illegal activity where he assaults the suspect. Yes.
And then he shuts off his cameras and he covers it up going through to his boss, who is his father-in-law.
Yeah.
And he's like, if it comes to light, then you're screwed, but here's what I'm willing to do for you. So we then see him do that because he's unwilling to take responsibility for his actions that he did in this moment. But yeah, I would punch the guy. But I'm also not a trained police officer.
Right. I think you might punch him harder if you were a trained
police I don't know. Officer. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
Possibly.
That punch looked very realistic, by the way.
It was great. At it. Yeah, the staging and choreography in this was really well done.
Krager really kind of very subtly shining a light on corruption within the police department. Yeah. Even just having the father-in-law as the chief, like just these privileges that, they're not playing. They're not playing by the rules. They're not playing by the same rules.
I'm just saying him and June Diane Raphael are married. If that's his father-in-law.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's actually his father-in-law, but it is her dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I do think it does show a realistic, police department, and I think that it shows the police in a pretty good light considering everything.
Well, it speaks to just the subtlety to which Krager is really telling this story. Like he's not going in too deep, which is great. So we can get deep with it.
It doesn't go into showing that the police were so inept that they missed these things. It tried to show that they were really did their due diligence. What I think is important for the story too is that they've really did their work to try to solve it, and they haven't come up with anything.
God, we love a good slow zoom. Slow zoom. Okay.
I love a good mustache. So
it's a great A mustache.
Yeah, it's a great A mustache.
So we've mentioned James, Tweaker James, plenty.
I love James.
Let's call him.
He
by
stole
name.
the show,
dude. So played by Austin Abrams. He was on Euphoria. He played Kat's boyfriend. I did not make that connection.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Such a different role. Kind of the performance of the film to me. Great job by James, and we're gonna get to his story here soon.
Yeah, I was really shocked and happy that we got to see his character chapter also,
right?
And I think was like a really good way to. Is it? How many more chapters after his do we have?
We're on Paul now, so we have James, Marcus, and Alex.
Okay,
so 3 more.
Okay, so. It's so this is our other clear addict, and then so we end with the young boy who's the victim of addiction, essentially. Okay.
Principal, then young boy.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Who Krager says he relates to the most throughout this entire film.
And once we look through it through that lens, that makes the most sense.
He relates to the boy, Alex. Also.
Yes.
So Paul, this is where we find out about this, couple's date that he has with the chief and how close they are. The James confrontation, the residential chase, pricks his finger, covers up his assault. I'm just, we don't have to talk about this. I just want to say, residential police chases are so freaking dangerous. We had a tragedy on the Esplanade here in Chico. Went into a house. I hate how cops chase people through residential neighborhoods. regardless of how severe the crime is. Like, I think that needs, I don't know. It bothers me, and it causes more harm than like justice a lot of the time.
I believe that just today that there was a incident where police were chasing today or yesterday in Georgia, back near where I'm from, where they were chasing an individual off of school property, and he ran into the school pickup, and I believe they killed him.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Law enforcement and policing practices definitely are difficult to navigate in residential areas and low density areas, and high density, especially. Like, we see that this is, we're in a downtown area in this, and it's definitely we have to have better training for our law enforcement in these scenarios.
Well, this is this is an interesting scene because had he not come home to realize his wife was home, like, would this reaction of him turning on the signals and doing the chase to get this guy out of his neighborhood have been as severe? I just feel like there's a lot of anger.
The personal life.
Yeah, the personal
that's
life
a huge problem with policing
is
too.
Totally impacting. And this is so sad because, and now we're watching The Addict. Is it James?
Yeah. So
he is smoking crack in his own little like hermit den in the forest, and it just shows. I mean, I think it demonstrates the isolation of someone in this case so much. It's so sad.
Yeah, and I think we at least touched on all the Paul points here. Amy's referring to when he sees James approach the police station again, and we're going to learn as to why James is approaching the police station again, even though Paul has told him to disappear after that kind of cover-up assault
and
situation.
So this goes to our conversation about Archer as well, is that we see Paul in the throes of him not taking responsibility for his actions, lashing out, taking that out on someone else, whereas if he was willing to look outside of himself, take responsibility and look at other perspectives and actually hear, he would realize that James is actually coming to tell them, hey, I know where the kids are.
Right. Could have easily just asked James, what are you doing?
Right.
As opposed to chasing
instead
him
of escalating it.
Yeah.
Continue to escalate.
We see it. That's such a real issue that we see kind of so front and center with ICE, obviously, but that with police officers in America.
Oh, do you think that there's a problem with police officers not de-escalating situations properly in our society?
Yes, thank you.
There's a really not to promote other podcasts, but I think it's the New Yorker who does In the Dark, and they do this really incredible like true crime podcast, but it's all about, they use like the police not police footage, but they use police testimony, and then like they do a really good job of representing the victims as well as the perpetrators or the alleged perpetrators. And it really has enlightened me as to why the police think the way they do. And it's not because, oh man, they're just, and some of them are probably the worst guys, but they just have such a different outlook on guilt and crime. And again, I'm not suggesting they're right, but it's like, I mean, in the world of perspectives where the truth is obfuscated, it is very interesting to hear what their perspective is, because they can justify almost anything, even with like a very low sort of clearance rate.
My father was in law enforcement for over 20 years. He was a police officer, sheriff, police chief, all of these things.
Oh, wow.
And so me and him are frequently having a lot of conversations about about modern policing, in the South, and this was 70s deep South too. He's got some the phrases and things that I've learned about how policing was, and in him willing and acknowledging types of corruption that he had witnessed, and how de-escalation is sometimes a skill that is lost in our modern policing.
100%.
And while me and him are frequently at odds with our police in our society today, that is one thing that definitely he resonates with, is like that itself, and which is important, I guess, since we watched this film together. This is these are a lot of the conversations that we had. And so I think that it is an interesting statement on modern policing in a very subtle way that I think is more powerful than more overt films like Eddington, perhaps, that just came out. It has more to say and said better.
Yes.
I would hear that.
Okay. James. We're at the James chapter. We mentioned his tent in the woods. We have some good kind of personal experience here in Chico, as most towns do across America with their homeless populations. We see we see the James character around Chico, his prototype. The tents in the woods, the carjackings, going just opening doors, going to the pawn shop. We return to his violent encounter with Paul, and then now we're at the home break-in. So we have carjackings, home break-ins, the kind of doing the drugs in the woods.
But notice though how it's the addict that's breaking in. That is the first one to understand like the actual system sort of what's going on. He doesn't understand the why, but he's able to see things that the others aren't able to see because he's not taking the well-trodden path.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just think it's just kind of says a lot about being the lone like hermit, and that this guy is on his own. He has his friends and he has his own motives. He's not trying to be the good guy, but that's kind of why he is the neutral character, because no one else was gonna. Josh Brolin's character wouldn't have broken. Under this circumstance, he wouldn't have broken into.
He didn't
this
know
house.
to. He didn't.
Right,
think to.
exactly.
That's
it's such a
thing.
random
Right.
discovery by James. And I think that's just I think it's a beautiful plot device, but I also think it's just true to the character of the addict, which is this guy is going to see things other people don't see, in a way, a perspective, if you will, that other people wouldn't see them.
Yeah, and part of why it works so well is the tension building in all of this.
Yes.
This is our first time really being in the house in this way at this point. And so we don't know what the state of everything is either. So we as the audience are really getting to see it, and we're going through the lens of this character, who we're also like unsure how we kind of feel about.
Right.
So we don't know what's really going on, and it goes in a good. It's heightening.
Yes.
He keeps heightening, and it goes back to his comedy. Kreger, he does a great job of continually heightening, and it's not hat on a hat, and we're not pushing it too far, and we're not starting off at a 10. It's a good burn.
It's a good, just back to, not quite the misdirected barbarian, but it is a good misdirect as well, where you think you're going to see one thing, and then all of a sudden it's
totally.
like, oh man, we're seeing, like, not only are we getting what we're seeing, we're getting it through the perspective of like the most groggy dude, but honestly he's got the most clarity on the situation. I don't know, it's just, it really, it's an excellent scene. That's a good
metaphor there. He's groggy, but he's got clarity.
Yeah.
Dude.
There we go into the whole like weapons to tools, and also the Joker makeup of Gladys, which is it encompasses everything. Also Kreger himself, like comedy and drama. It's life at its core, both. There's no way around that.
I do want to say we did mention that Justine did see the catatonic parents on the couch through the window.
That's right.
So we know they're there. So that's not a complete shock. We know that James is going to see them. Still very effectively done in the film. I love that you're kind of the prototype of like the crackhead, quote unquote, who now becomes this investigator into crimes against children and ends up being kind of the hero investigator that's doing a better job than an entire police force. That's interesting as hell.
Well, he's doing a better job because he's literally breaking the law.
He's self-interested as well.
Yeah.
The
totally other purposes.
The self-interested, malevolent kind of failings of the drug addict that ends up working towards great benevolent result.
Yes.
Right? The juxtaposition is great.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Bring us back to reality.
It's not a altruistic action.
No,
because he realizes
it's
that
ironic.
he goes to the. Well, I don't know if it's ironic. He goes to the pawn shop and realizes that he can get money off of these kids.
Right?
And so it's definitely not like. Part of why, and it's great because there's no heroes in this movie.
Right.
They're all like
James kind of is the hero.
Yeah, but I mean he's an anti-hero by all, but that he's not there to help these kids. He's here to get money.
Okay, you're right. Okay, right.
And
But
it's
at
not,
the end
and
of
he
the
sees the
day-
kids and doesn't really care until he's like, wait, I can make money off of this.
Thanks
So-
for
But at
reining
the
me in
end
on that
of the
one.
day, that's what rewards are for.
To remind us to be good people.
Not us.
To make sure so crackheads can solve crimes potentially.
Well, I'm just saying so that like someone who might not typically turn in someone who has broken the law is more inclined to turn in someone who has broken the law. If James didn't have the money, right, as you said, he wouldn't have turned these people in. This would have been nothing. But because there was a a carrot sort of waved in front of him, he had different motivations. He was able to act differently than he would have under other circumstances. And I think that, if rewards didn't work, we wouldn't offer them.
You mentioned the kids in the basement. I don't think we've mentioned that yet. This is when we find out that these kids are in the basement.
Yes.
Discovered by James. They're just standing there, kind of
Great shot.
Catatonic in line. What do we got? So James, he steals the silverware, so he's back at the pawn shop, and he sees the $50,000 reward up on the wall of the pawn shop. And he escapes to the woods because he has money and he still wants to smoke crack before he addresses the reward.
So let's go back over this again.
Okay.
So we literally just saw the sequence where he sells all the silver to the pawn shop that he stole from the house. He sees the poster. He clocks the 50,000. Looks at all the kids. Sees the kids, and then it's like his brain triggers, and we see the camera follow and looks at the cash.
Yeah.
So it is that reinforcing again of that it's not an altruistic action.
100%.
I'm of the opinion that a lot of things are not done that should be altruistic, like under the guise of altruism.
And I agree.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that.
But we're just not calling him a good guy.
I think it's more I'm not thinking that. I'm not saying he's a bad guy either. I'm not saying that. I don't really buy into a good versus bad either. I think that, that's
the comedy horror.
I think that's a false thing that our society is. But yeah, the comedy horror of it, where you're subverting expectations,
yes.
where it is. And then we start seeing here is like a good point where we see the tonal shift to have more comedic beats. Mm-hmm. So we have a heightening of tension, and that allows these smaller comedic kind of cracklings start to form, and we really start navigating in some like good territory that you have to be a masterful filmmaker to pull off, because everything about this movie should not work, but it does.
Well, what you said there makes me realize how this film does stay on an upward trajectory. It doesn't dip ever, which that alone, A+ job by a director. If you can pull that off. I mean, just to literally just peak at the end and never dip in the story once, honestly, phenomenal job.
Yeah, I think it's always best to peak at the end and not peak at the beginning.
Sure. Really? No comment there. Let me move on. We are in the woods with James. We have another Gladys sighting. So far, we just have a couple Gladys sightings. We haven't heard her speak. We don't know who she is, what she is.
And this is probably my favorite Gladys sighting.
Just her in the forest.
Her in the forest, yeah. Just in the day where we actually see the monster, essentially.
I like the distance she is from the camera.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And then we have the
tension of him holding up his needles.
The face shot.
Oh, so good.
We didn't plan on doing a kind of a real-time podcast to the film, but this is great, guys. When's your
yeah, and please, he's good. He's good. Did you give a spoiler alert to
I will on the intro. I will on the intro. We got the face stabbing. Revealing of the kid's location happens here. So James reconnects with Paul, or Paul chases him down.
And so in this sequence is great because we have James, who is again confronted by Paul after stabbing him in the face with the needles, which is also really great shot. Cinematography for this whole sequence is great, and the design of it was really good. But we have Paul, who's realizing like I've screwed up massively. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, I can go save my bacon by finding these kids.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
And they won't notice the 3 holes in my cheek.
So everyone that's interested in saving these kids, oh my God, when he asked this guy if he has AIDS, incredible, because this guy doesn't know.
I totally missed the fact that he slept with Justine after being stabbed by the needle.
Oh, no, I didn't.
That's like, aren't you like an attempted murderer if you...
Well,
that's if you knowingly have AIDS.
Well, and also he doesn't know he has AIDS, and also he's drunk
dude.
Beyond recognition at that point.
Right.
I mean, I'm just guessing he's like blackout.
And he may have had drugs in him. We don't know if he was actually high either.
Right. Yeah, there's a bunch of unknowns, and again, like to his credit, to Kreger's credit.
So we're mildly off the hinges here with Paul and James now pulling up to the house solo. No one. I doubt the police department knows what
exactly. That's the other thing, is
doing.
that he goes outside of the system and he's not communicating what he's up to because he wants this to be his for him to save face.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, and it's it's this idea though that like people's selfish motivations in this particular universe, and I do believe in the real world as well, are at least somewhat responsible for trying to move forward the agenda for good.
It's like the most realistic thing about the movie,
probably,
in some ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we can move
that house
ahead
is gorgeous,
of the films.
by the way. It does not the bricks, but it does have.
So can we talk about that house for a second?
Let's do it.
Before we continue, the shutters are non-functioning, which bugs me.
Okay.
And I don't really love louved style shutters.
Okay.
But they do look like they're the appropriate size. So if they were functioning, they would close and cover the window.
I see.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when shutters are not the proper
Just
size for a
aesthetic,
window.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if they're static and you have them, so they're not actually in function. But if you were functioning and then they were clearly the wrong size on the window, so if they close, they wouldn't fit. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Anyways, I was looking at shutters watching this movie.
That's it's how you know it's a good movie.
It's the big in the South, So
If I'm asking anyone for aesthetic advice on the exterior of a home, I think it's Dustin, based on
Steward of the Yellow Mansion.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
Oh, there we go, Marcus. All right.
Let's talk about some hot dogs.
Yes.
Isn't that all that we want? Because my lead into Marcus is that what a beautiful relationship he has with his husband, and that it's Sunday afternoon and his husband just prepared him 6 hot dogs.
Wait. You're saying that the gay men have a more healthy relationship than the hetero characters?
Comedies
in the
always
film?
like Wet Hot American Summer does this too. The most functional relationship in the entire film is the gay relationship.
And I don't know if this is part of this addiction aspect of it, but we see what their diet is, and it is just pure junk food.
Garbage.
We are literally seeing them at the grocery store. They're buying all of the most highly processed foods.
They're adorable, though.
They're a beautiful couple. They're really sweet. But it is, again, to this about, I think we're talking about addiction and how the addiction of processed foods. And then we see them, and he continues eating.
Oh, the jelly beans. Oh, so, but that is like kind of the height of their addiction is sugar or processed
Everyone
foods.
is processing, going through their own addictions in this film.
Well done.
I didn't notice the jelly beans either. The real question is purple or blue Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, I have zero preference.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just know Pebbles over Cocoa Krispies are like I know Pebbles are the way to go, but I haven't had a cereal like that in a very long time.
And Fruity Pebbles, is that Fred Flintstone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hanna-Barbera property.
We saw it in the scene there. Did you miss that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, look, guys. Gladys is here. An hour and 14 minutes into the film, we have the first real scene with Gladys where she's speaking. It's an insane scene. It's the fact there are missing children out there, 17 of them, and this woman walks in like this, and Mark is just like, yeah, okay, this is normal. Have we met before?
Marcus' receptionist is the best reaction, is like all of our reactions to Gladys. It's just straight up looking at her like, you're okay having this person in your office with you right now.
Here's what I'll say about working with the public, though, like at this capacity, is that you do meet lots of very eccentric people. And I'm not saying they look like Gladys, and Gladys is like a really dramatic version of that. But you do see a lot of people that you're just like, I wouldn't ever be sitting across from you.
I mean, she is a real life Miss Frizzle.
Yes. Oh man, honestly, she's so hip.
Maddie School Bus?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, but terminally hip, literally. Like the baby bangs, the big old glasses. I mean, like if you were to imagine that on a girl like at Argus, you know what I mean? Like she's very cool. She's very cool. She's just kind of old and crinkled.
Well, we know that this will be the costume this Halloween.
Oh, so true.
Wow.
This will be
true.
the costume that
Yeah.
everyone will be doing.
I'm
glad
I might do it.
I think it's going to replace the sexy Harley Quinn. We're going to have the sexy Aunt Gladys.
Wow.
And
Oh,
I'm here
I
for
can
it,
only
Come
hope
on.
so.
It looks so much more comfortable, and I'm glad that all of the young women dressing up as Aunt Gladys will be more comfortable.
Also, the 70s are really having a moment right now, /90s, and I'm telling you, she's very hip. Like, She's a hip clown. She's clown chic.
And before we get, let's talk about Marcus. Before we talk about Aunt Gladys.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
No. We're. It's the same.
I'm just
It's the
trying
same.
to avoid
It's in the
CPS.
in
Because
the
I
same
want to
chapter.
talk about Amy Madigan, but I want to talk about.
We can
I guess
wait
we're talking
maybe a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about
before we
Benedict
general.
Wong. So, because we're at Marcus, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So he's great in this. Benedict Wong,
from
amazing.
Marvel fame, Doctor Strange.
He's Wong, right? In
That one too. Yeah. Okay.
well, no, his character is Wong.
Oh, is it?
And yeah, Benedict Wong's character's name is Wong.
Oh.
in the MCU.
I think it is the most popular last name in the entire world.
And there's the delivery of the
So
hot dogs.
we
and
are
they're both in Disney, matching Disney shirts.
Oh, nice. They
and
both have the black
and they're
and
his
white.
flip flops with socks. And here's where we learn about the parasitic sort of invasion.
Okay, so maybe we can tie in parasitic invasion into the brain with the witchcraft in some way. We are, just to set the scene.
Or just with alcoholism.
Remember, this is an audio pod. We have to kind of spell out what we're looking at here. Sorry. I'll cut that part out. We're at home with the couple, with Marcus and his lovely husband, Terry, played by Clayton Ferris. He was in Maxine.
Great character actor.
He's good.
Yeah, this entire cast, everyone is cast perfectly. This is how you do a movie like this that really requires like a good ensemble of character actors because everyone's pulling their weight.
So good. It's so true. The principal visit when Gladys comes in, I'm just like, the parents of the one kid who survived are sick and can't come while this character comes in. It's just, I'll get over the absurdity of how this would just
We
be like
really
the biggest
must
red
let
flag
the
ever.
logic out the door.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah.
Well, but part of it too is like it's great is that Marcus does not want to have her in the home. He's like, you're crossing a boundary, literally and metaphorically.
Threshold.
Yeah, you're crossing a threshold into my home. This is not how this is supposed to work. You need to come back at a different time. And the husband, trying to be polite and not respecting perhaps this proper system, invites her into the home.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a
this
rough
is so
one.
interesting.
He's such a
too.
nice guy, though.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and that's part. And it's
Right.
he's overly nice.
Normally, okay, this is where she's asking for a bowl and all the stuff that she's going to need to basically do her little spell. But it's so interesting because it goes to demonstrate that normally when we imagine a witch, she's out in the forest somewhere, like with her tinctures and like her cauldron, and really she's just like within the confines of like the rich, the affluent neighborhood, and she's let herself in, despite looking like that, and she's going to annihilate the community with a very simple spell that she's about to do, which is interesting too because all it takes is it's like their hair or a personal affect, but if you kind of take it on like a more metaphorical level, she's using something she's taking something personal from that person,
Right.
which is sort of like the crux of like all dark arts is to take something very personally and sort of go off of that. This is one of the craziest scenes, I think, not just in the movie, but that it's taking place within the confines of suburbia is fascinating.
And speaking of that token, we see her looking at the ribbons in the principal's office. She grabs one of them. And we're introduced to that more thoroughly when we get to Alex's chapter.
This scene itself was referring to the scene when Gladys is in the kitchen and Marcus attacks his husband is so well done from a technical perspective, and the way that they showed the brutality of the violence. This is our first real intense sequence of violence, and it's so well done because of how graphic it is, but it still feels grounded in a way that a lot of times when you have a horror like this, the gore itself is over the top, whereas this feels grounded and realistic. And so the attack by Marcus on his husband is particularly brutal.
They do a really good job of being able to sort of mitigate the brutality with the creepiness of Gladys herself, because Gladys is a very tense character. Just because you don't know what she's going to do. Oh, this and the black goo. This was such a wild scene. I forgot about that.
Yes, the editing here is particularly good as Marcus is killing his husband. Wonderful job of this scene, and it's just the continuing of the heightening. It's like, okay, we now know we're at a new level of stakes. We're actually seeing death in a different way.
We have the thorny stick that Gladys cuts herself with to intermingle her blood with that token that we mentioned. It can be hair or just something they've touched, I guess. And maybe we
Just
talk about
something
that a
of
little
their
more.
energy.
Yeah. Do we have any analogies here with this stick, with this hair? Is this in any type of story you guys are familiar with? I don't know much about.
I mean, the
witch
Bible,
lore.
the thorns.
Okay.
Something having to do with like because of our fallen state and like I don't know if it's the First Testament or the Old Testament, but they're basically all our food's going to come from the ground and it's going to be thorny. And then of course Jesus with his like crown of thorns. There's something there, I think.
Okay.
It's a common trope with witchcraft that you know self-sacrifice, pain to achieve your spells and whatnot. So
Absolutely.
And I mean, you know, there's Benedict Wong. He looks like he's having a blast also, like in just like his performance, his eyes just wide open, running through the streets is just an incredible performance. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of commentary that he's intentionally saying about this being under someone else's control.
Yeah. The black bile, I guess it's kind of blood turning black, or that's an interesting.
Yeah, the ectoplasm. I think that's a common trope of otherworldly control over your
But
body.
here's another case of where you think that her intention here is to unleash BD Wong onto Julia Garner, but in fact what it does is create a portal for Josh Brolin's character to get out of the circle. So it really, I mean, like, it's an excellent plot device, but also it's sort of her own, while her will is being done by the spell, it has a contradictory effect to what she would probably want.
Absolutely.
Nice. This is our first heightened chase scene in the film. We have a couple, of course.
It's the first one by someone who's under Gladys's control.
Okay.
Correct? And that was our first death sequence as well.
The first chase scene is when the police
Oh,
officer...
sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. The first,
Which does a good job because we're how far are we into the movie? This is our first kill. Which, the rule of horror is that you have to have a kill every 20 minutes at least.
Oh, interesting.
You usually have one in your cold open, and then you don't go any longer than 20 minutes for a kill. That's the general rule for like a slasher.
I would say we're doing a subtle kill on Julia Garner's character. It's like it's like an ego kill. Like, she's being annihilated as a professional, and so I think that again, it's just to his building, the testament to his really excellent.
Yeah, all the characters are you're seeing their ego being attacked and killed, and they're having to go beyond themselves to survive. And then the people who are succumbing to it are the ones who have.
Seeing her drive off with witch on the side of her car, I mean, it's like
so funny.
A literal witch hunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's not the witch.
Wow, It's almost like it's an allegory for the witch hunt.
Whoa.
Wow.
Well, we haven't mentioned that phrase yet, witch hunt.
You're right. We have not talked about actual witch hunt or the use of it. Yeah.
Any kind of freestyling?
Oh yeah, I do like. We didn't talk about that. It was Archer who put witch on the side of her car
because the red paint, the mistakenly
paint.
bought red paint.
Correct. Yeah.
That's something. Oh. Yeah. Okay, we just saw Marx's head splattered all over the road, so he's done. There's the Justine and Archer. They escape. Oh, they escape from Marcus essentially. They meet up in a bit here, Justine and Archer. And Justine's like, have you ever seen anything like that before? I've never seen anything like that before. And Archer says, I have. The way he was running, I've seen that before. So now we have this connection between this horrific event that just took place and their children that escaped. And this is now we get into Justine and Archer back to the map.
Reaching out across the aisle to his enemy.
They've developed a true partnership here now at this point, I'd say. And now solutions, but solutions are they are slowly building and they're moving forward in their investigation. I'd say they're making progress.
Yeah, they're willing. I mean, it's both of them acknowledging that they don't know what's going on, and they have to work together to figure it out. And that's how, we as a society all have to be, to realize that we have to make progress and to heal, especially as we both see both of these people are succumbing to addiction, grief, trauma, and that they're working together to literally form. I guess you're right.
It's a literal trauma bond.
And it's they're working the system of the AA.
Yeah.
they're working the symbol
Yes.
of that.
Yes. He was weaponized like a heat-seeking missile.
Oof.
It's the name of the movie. It's the
Has
movie.
the
Should that
the
be the
gun
alternate
appeared
title?
in the sky yet? I can't remember when that happened.
Say that again?
The gun, the
No.
machine gun appears in the sky.
No, I think it's just about to happen.
Okay.
What was in a dream? Yeah, good call. It might have actually already happened
Yeah, it
in
may
a
have.
dream.
But yeah,
Oh,
we
that's
didn't
right.
talk about
What
it.
was that about?
Well, I think that a weapon. I don't know. I think. Go ahead.
I mean, it was a literal
Weapon in the sky.
Yeah, a literal weapon in the sky, symbolizing that the children are being weaponized.
This
Okay.
was when this was when the movie came together for
Yeah.
me, and they talk about the parasite.
Absolutely, and also when the logic really does, you question it. But it does a good
Sure.
job wrapping it up. I mean, do we need to get into Alex?
Yeah, we are at Alex's chapter. We can wind down the pod. Phenomenal hour and a half already so far, guys. Thank you so much. And we're going to dig into the final chapter of the film.
Again, let's talk about where the outcome sort of violates what we think should happen, because Alex becomes the hero of the movie by saving quote unquote his classmates, even though they might just be catatonic the rest of their lives. But he's bullied, and so really the kid that's bullied doesn't normally, according to the movie logic, go back and save the class. He would go back and annihilate the class, and he realizes that through the film that his aunt is the reason all this has happened, and he realizes he can undo the spell, and he is sort of the hero of the movie in that.
Absolutely. I mean, he is breaking this cycle of trauma and addiction by then
Literally with the stick.
literally breaking it.
Yeah.
And the biggest villain in this story is, of course, the grocery employee. He doesn't question why this kid is buying so many cans of soup every
Honestly,
week.
that's some logic.
Oh, we haven't
right
mentioned
there.
the soup.
Like, so, in the film, Alex is feeding feeding his parents and feeding all the kids soup, which is, it's done the rounds of the social media, so everyone's made their commentary on it, but I still feel like that is one of the biggest
kid.
plot holes
I
in this
feel
movie.
like the grocer probably saw Home Alone and goes, "This kid's just been, his family has left."
or
in
that,
Chicago.
or it is that it is normalized that this kid is eating this money. He's able to. We know his parents. He's fine.
Remember, he's the one kid left behind in a classroom where 17 kids disappeared. It's insane. But
Here's what I'll say about the grocer in that scenario: is the grocer might not recognize. Like, I'm just telling you, there's a lot of times
Self-checkout line.
Yeah, self.
So there we go.
Also, just self-checked out. You know what I mean? Like the larger sort of, he's gone.
But we do see, I mean, Alex is great because he is then finally our true, truly reliable narrator, is that we're actually seeing what's actually happening.
Yeah.
okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So let me rewind all the way to the beginning of the film when we see Alex being questioned by detectives. This is before even the first chapter opens up. He's lying to them. He knows what's going on. Gladys, of course, and we're going to see this now in this chapter, is telling him to stay quiet, right? But yes, he saves the kids, but he also keeps it a secret for a while. He could have come out immediately the second he goes to school after he's supposed to. When he sees his parents sitting there,
He could have, and his parents would have been killed. That's what Gladys has threatened, is that she will kill his parents.
I guess
And-
like you take the I don't know, like it's
Okay,
No,
as a 7-year-old, do you take that?
I don't know.
We see how close he is to his parents. Like, they
Yeah.
have a great, healthy relationship. He obviously very deeply cares about him. And she comes in and she literally shows by their sequence where they're at a dinner table and they stab themselves with a fork because she controls that.
Yeah.
And she says, if you say anything, I will kill them.
But to me, I'm like, you kind of already have. Look at them. What's going on? They're done
But
already.
again, through the lens of addiction, as Amy's pointed out, it looks very different. Is that he still believes he could save them and help them.
Ooh,
And they could come back.
Okay.
Also, just for pointing it out, the name Alex means defender of humanity.
Wow.
So that's an interesting, I mean, obviously with
And he is. And he quite literally is that he's keeping his family. He's keeping his people that we don't perceive as his friends. Like, he actually is being altruistic and, like, actually caring for them, even though they did not show that same love and compassion for him.
Let me ask you guys, because we still don't know what happens in the film at this point, right? We don't know the cause of all this yet, technically. I mean, we've seen the sticks and the blood and everything, but, like, to me, I was still questioning Alex's involvement in all of this. Was there going to be a twist? Is this, is he the one doing this? And I think that's why they throw the bully in there to kind of maybe give those seeds of that. What were you guys thinking at this point watching this for the first time? Do you remember? Did you kind of know where it was going, or did you have different thoughts about where we were headed at this point?
I definitely had thoughts about where it was going, and I felt that this was maybe where I was going, but I definitely didn't have that seed of doubt where it was like, okay, there's going to be one more big turn, and maybe Alex is the one who's caused Gladys to do this, or he's taken control somehow.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
But I'm glad that they didn't, because I think we needed to have Alex be this anchor of humanity.
It would have been kind of more of a predictable.
It would have been, and it would have been more cynical as well.
How about you, Ames?
I think that I knew that Alex was probably not culpable in that way because we'd seen Aunt Gladys get so violent with the principal and with his boyfriend and we saw what she was capable of. And I mean, I know that I don't, it's hard to put myself back in that moment because it just is, but because I know what happens now. But I don't think I saw him as being like the savior either. And if I do think about this, it's hard not to at this point, knowing what I've read of Krager and his thoughts on this character. And being the child of alcoholism, and then ultimately, I mean, they don't show, he goes on to become an alcoholic in his adult life. It's really sad to think about keeping all these family secrets and to have this entity that you don't understand and is just as monstrous that sort of causes chaos in the house, but sort of like a parasite or like a virus. It causes chaos in this very sort of laid out universally way. Like it's everyone that is affected by alcoholism. It's a very universal thing. There's not really anything new about it, but because it's such a private thing, it feels like it's just this personal chaos in your life. And I don't know, there's just a lot of thoughts I have about it. And now that I'm rewatching it, I'm just thinking about this little Alex and how how he's like an atlas. He's just carrying so much on his shoulders. And like you said, she's like threatening to kill his parents, who when you're Alex's age, I mean, your parents are everything. There's nothing more important than them, even because you don't understand what the chaos is being caused by, or even if you do, you still love them.
Yeah, it's clear that he has a structured and safe home life. So this it's not as though that he had a problematic home, right? Like they had a good structured life,
right?
And she introduces that, and so that causes, as that catalyst, you're right, is that he then has to question, like, oh, this is beyond my control, and it reinforces like your understanding of why he is so willing to do what he does to help everyone.
His bravery stands. I mean, just like, to me, like the kind of parents weren't traumatized enough, quote unquote, in their initial reaction to their kids disappearing. This character in the film isn't traumatized enough either. He's pretty stoic considering what's going on. I couldn't even imagine how terrified.
I would say he's dissociated.
I think so.
Gotcha.
I think very, very much so.
As a child is with alcoholic parents.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What did I want to see? Oh, let's talk a little bit about just Gladys's introduction to not just to Alex, but what we know of her. It's supposed to be Alex's mom's aunt, correct? Yes.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, mom's sister, grandma's sister for Alex. And they don't know anything about her. They haven't seen her in 15 years. She didn't come to the wedding. The person I was watching the movie with dropped a theory that like this isn't even actually her aunt. It's like a witch that took place of her aunt.
That's what I also thought. It was that she was like this aunt that, you know, maybe someone knew, didn't know, like she's an aunt. And I was like, how many families has she done this on?
Right.
Like, is this like she's been doing this for who? We don't know how old Gladys actually is. Has she been doing this in other communities?
Or for hundreds of years?
Exactly.
Thousands of years?
We don't know. Like, which I love, and which is great, and that's why part of this movie works, is that it doesn't explain the monster.
Whoa, Amy.
I like it that she appears the first time to be very sickly and much like a parasite derives her health from the family who is weakening.
Right.
And I just think that is incredibly she doesn't survive without a host. And
Exactly.
that's and the host is the health or the mental well-being of the family or whoever she's chosen or the family has chosen to have her there. I mean, the family, what's the word I'm looking for? They consent to her being there. So she, if we were to take this, extend this metaphor of alcoholism, you've consented to letting this thing invade your life. And so, but there is no alcoholism without a host. Like, you can't have an alcoholic without a person who's drinking alcohol. So it's a matter of, you know, they need each other to survive.
It's kind of vampiric in a way.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't vampires need to be welcomed in?
Absolutely. I mean,
And
yeah.
That's why I was saying they're very clearly statements on literal boundaries. There's a lot of boundary discussion in this movie, in metaphorical, of our own personal boundaries that we put up, our defense mechanisms, and of overstepping our own boundaries, letting people overstep our boundaries. We see that with all of the characters, and we're off from the start. We have Justine being confronted about that.
Yeah.
Well, and also socially, it's while it would logically make sense to not let this crazy aunt come invade your home, I think the mom, from her point of view, is looking at it like, what would my family think? Like, I wouldn't want to be treated this way. And so I'm thinking about the social aspect of drinking, just to make it super aligned. There's a social acceptance to drinking. If you say you're not going to drink, people ask why. There's sort of just like a social contract with it. And darn it. And so I think there's a through line there as well, where it's just, there's like you have to have like a confidence, like what would the neighbors say doesn't have to affect you, or what would you want? And in fact, what you want is not to host this crazy aunt. And it's so weird how you put yourself in the future that may not even be alive, and satisfying that.
Did you have any thoughts on who this Gladys character may actually be? Is she a 1,000-year-old witch that is not actually the aunt of Alex's mom? Is that Alex's aunt?
I think she's
grand-aunt?
the female archetype of the Joker, and not in the sexy Harley Quinn way, but in the way that she's like the base material. She is both comedy and horror at once. Those are reasons clowns make people sad and scared, and also they delight. She does it all, and she is the inspiration for I think she's the parasite or the substance. She's the thing that makes a person weak and gains strength off of their weakness. And that's why it's so great at the end when Alex breaks the stick, breaks the cycle, and transforms the weapon into a tool.
We are at the soup shopping. We actually preempted that a little bit. We don't have... do we want to go scene by scene here? Do you guys want to tie this up, or do we want to go with the movie? Amy, what's your schedule?
I'm like, let's just go at our own pace,
Okay.
because I think we're doing a good job of that.
I mean, we're really driving home the child of an alcoholic, but I can't help it. Just seeing him shopping on his own, and you guys kind of nailed that with that.
Yeah.
That does happen in real life.
I would like to talk about just Amy Madigan's performance.
Let's
as
do it.
Gladys.
We're at the seance
I think
scene.
we're seeing her like put on like a masterclass of villainous performance, and it actually, it's so Amy Madigan's been married to Ed Harris for I don't know, 40 plus years at this point. And and some reason in this movie, I got so much Ed Harris vibes too. Like this, like Ed Harris has his such quiet intensity that she's just like, she has that. And I kept thinking like, oh, if Ed Harris put on that wig, like I could see him playing.
No, you
this
can
type
see
of
Ed
role.
Harris.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in the
And-
scene with her in the braids.
And she is just so good in this, and I think that she's one of those character actors that we sleep on, and she does a lot with this. And I know that they're already talking about the prequel. They've already greenlit a prequel.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this movie did $250 million at the box office internationally.
Do you know what it cost to
internationally.
make?
I think it was. I mean, it was more than Barbarian. I can't remember. I think it was maybe 30 million.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say
nothing
30.
close to
Yeah.
250.
No.
Like, yeah,
Oh,
it's
it actually. We had two of the best performing original horror films this year in Sinners and Weapons,
Yes.
and so this is I think one of the first years that we've had multiple original IPs produce or make over $250 million at the box office. I think since 2019. It's the
That's
first
very
year.
exciting for movie industry in general.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's still a lot of people kind of singing this old song that it's all just remakes. But I'm like, not what I've been seeing lately in the movies. Like
Outside of horror, it is
all remakes?
It is. There are fewer.
Okay.
And I think we're one battle after another opens up this weekend.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a great example of the canary in the coal mine, if you will, for how well does an original IP work that is a drama or being presented as an action drama, but is also relying on star power, and an auteur is behind at the helm.
Yeah, fascinating time in the world for filmmaking, movie releases. I love that you brought up Sinners as well, and that the IP still is confined to horror, the successful original IP movies, right? We haven't kind of broken out. We've still kind of lost the romantic comedy, the straight up comedy. Horror is always been the draw. That's the Blumhouse model, right? It's like you spend a little bit, high ceiling on getting a return on these things.
Well, yeah, I mean that is, you're right. The ROI is always substantial for horror, and that's why you have such, the large franchise horrors are where they are. And to the rom-coms, I think we have things trying. Nora was a good example. Last year was a good breakout. I mean, and then this year The Materialist. So we definitely have that. They're willing to put money in these mid-budget productions again. We're starting to see that.
It's not a rom-com, but there's the Big Beautiful something. That's...
The Big Beautiful Journey.
Yeah,
which is bomb. Which bombed.
I saw that it bombed, but it was still like they tried.
That's the Margot Robbie calling for
yeah.
Owen.
But again, to that, it's it is like. There's a weird market for that where that is, and I have friends who worked on that movie, and everyone was very optimistic about that, and so I'm sad that it isn't performing as folks had hoped. But I think it may be one of those that'll have good legs.
Yeah, I know
which
that.
like Weapons had incredible legs.
Well, I know Him is not getting received like I hope it got received, but I did hear. I think you posted it. It's Wayans,
Marlon
Wayans. He said, people didn't like White Chicks when it came out, and look how it's come out to be like one of like a classic. And so
I think it's important that you brought up Him, because we know that Jordan Peele's team turned down Weapons to do Him instead.
Wow.
And so I know that his team or himself is probably very upset knowing how this turned out versus Him.
I just recently learned that Peele did not. I thought he directed the film.
No.
So when I realized he was just a producer only, I was like, oh.
Well, and that's, they pushed that because his name attached to it, and it's going to sell tickets, and yeah.
I'm still going to see it. I want to see how it turns out, but I definitely would have been interested to see how a Peele production met with a Kreger director, both having backgrounds in sketch.
It's a perfect marriage.
It's a perfect marriage, and I can see why, not only because it performed well, but... just on a real level, though, I'm glad it turned out the way that it did, because this movie is incredible, and who knows what it would have been like. I mean, you just don't know. That's the X factor. Right. But it would have, in my mind, it would have been incredible to see those two come together, and possibly they will. I mean, it's very possible.
Probably.
The next,
I guess it is
10
important
years.
since we're talking about that you know, outside of Benedict Wong, there are no BIPOC characters in the
Absolutely.
film. It is very white. I mean, it is the suburbs, and so
Yeah.
there's commentary within that as well, I would imagine. But yeah, something to throw out there.
But you guys kind of brought up the intentionality of that in terms of this type of addict, alcoholic in this affluent area kind of going under the radar. To me, the whiteness feels necessary for this story to work the way that it does.
I hear
The
that,
suburb.
especially with the
Whiteness of it.
with James, the heroin or the crack addict.
It does
or whatever.
because of the whiteness. It does allow it to. It's able to navigate water a little bit easier.
Yeah. Things can flow without
Right,
the
disruption.
The nitpicks become actually kind of
Also,
more
Gladys
realistic.
is some white lady shit. You know what I'm saying?
Gladys is, yes, she is that indeed.
Excellent talk on the current state of, I guess, IP and successful films. It is still kind of in the horror box, in my opinion, unless you get an A-lister like a Paul Thomas Anderson and an Ari Aster to write their own film, break out of that. Those films are still going to do well and make money.
And then those movies, I mean, one bad after another is going to probably be a bomb. But you know, when you're making those type of films, that is a film that has a 120 to 170 million budget.
Yeah.
Which is, it's very, very unlikely to recoup that. It's probably gonna be similar to Killers of the Flower Moon kind of you know, box office performance. But you as a studio invest in those. So Warner, has had an incredible year this year. They did
Right.
Weapons, they did Sinners. They've had a great run of original IP this year, and they have one bad after another. You make that movie because you're investing in Paul Thomas Anderson. You're investing in the award season. You're investing in
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio. That is a movie that will pay dividends down the road. They're not going to make their money. Those are the type of movies that you hope you break even with it at the box
Yeah.
office, and then you try to make your money, and you make your money on the back end.
I
'cause
can't
it's gonna
remember
have
what
great
it's
legs.
called. It's the new one with Julia Roberts and Ayo Adibri and
Opus?
No,
Oh,
I'll
that's a
have to
different
look it up. It's about the professor who
Yeah.
gets in trouble
Hmm.
for. Anyways, that looks. There's just a lot of really incredible films.
Movies are back a little bit. You know, Barbenheimer was a nice necessary thing. You know, the Top Gun, you know, coming off the heels of COVID, and we're terrified that the theaters were dead. It's not the case, and films like this are helping very much.
Yeah, and I think it's a good reminder that, you know, horror is a good place to look to see where the collective is kind of going, and I believe that horror is the most important genre of film.
Same.
And that you're able to discuss themes and commentary and just our world in a way that you can't do in any other genre, because it just comes overwrought and too ham-fisted. And so if you want to know what's going on in society, look at the horror films that are being made in it, or the horror, any form, any art.
Although I will say, Kreger said of this movie that it's not about society; it's about him.
Yeah, and then it shows.
But also, there's the macro and the micro,
Well,
which is
that's the beauty of art, right?
Yeah.
Is that, you know, a true artist tells his story through it, and then you give it out to the people, and then they determine and they give the value to it, and that's what you're supposed to do with the good art.
Let's close out the film. We're almost getting there to the end. Great conversation, guys.
So as we're wrapping this up, I think this shows a masterclass of tonal shifts, and this is us talking about like why this movie shouldn't work in my mind.
Yeah.
Is that we then have probably like the funniest climax of
It's
a film
so good.
I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And like I remember like it was, you know, a pure like what the hell is happening, but I'm dying laughing.
And you're
at
talking
it.
about the final chase scene.
The final chase sequence
Yeah.
as the kids are literally running through people's homes, which is shot incredibly too. And how they did that, the visual effects, special effects for that are incredible.
Yeah.
And I loved every beat of it. And it follows all of the great comedy beats. It follows all the great horror beats. I mean, the difference between horror and comedy is just. It's just that you're riding a line, and it follows it so perfectly, and it's so hard to do a proper horror comedy, and this movie does it perfectly.
I think part of the comedy is like and I don't know if this goes back to like Laurel and Hardy or Charlie Chaplin even. It's like it's kind of drawing it out a little bit to where it's not just, they don't just run through the house quickly. It's like you go back, you got multiple people running through the house. There's a scene where, or the sequence where Tweaker James just like keeps coming after Archer like 7-10 times instead of 3. Those things are cool. And
that's why
really
the tension building is so important, is because we're building this tension to us to be scared, but also to laugh. We're setting up the joke.
I would say, and I know that Barbarian sort of rides this line too, but Cabin in the Woods is the last time that I enjoyed a movie like this, where it was like, what the fuck is happening? I'm tense. I'm excited. I'm laughing. Like, I get what they're doing there. You know what I mean? Like, it was smart, but also like stupid at the same time, and it was really well done.
Horror comedy is like my favorite subgenre. I think Tucker and Dale versus Evil is a incredible example of that, which is a little bit more recent than Cabin in the Woods. I highly recommend, and that does subverting expectations and riding that line. Part of why we made The Fuzzies is our love for horror comedy, and similar to Weapons, is that we're exploring childhood trauma and exploring a lot of these themes that we kind of see in Weapons, and Jack Cregger does it at a different level than we're doing, in a different style as well. Our film takes place in the late 70s. We rely on stop motion animation, a lot of it, and it's about puppets. But it's ironically, or coincidentally I should say, these are literal meat puppets in this film of Weapons, is that they're all being controlled. But and so the Fuzzies itself, there's a lot of similarities in themes between these two films, and I'm glad to see original horror films that is trying something different is succeeding in our society today.
Well, I certainly see why you wanted to talk about this film coming off the new release of your own. We are at the house now. We're nearing the end. Justine and Archer have entered. Officer Paul is under a spell. He's in there. He kind of welcomes him in. They're fighting now. Paul is fighting. Tweaker James is fighting. There's escape under the table. We have the potato peeler on the face.
Oh, great sequence.
Which is great. We have, and also we have Alex, who has tempted his parents by stepping over the salt line. He kind of brings them toward him in an attack while he tries to stay safe.
Yeah, purposely drawing them away so that he can go into to break the cycle.
Right. The salt line. Any thoughts on the salt line there?
Well, again, I mean, it's the classic. It's the classic of any of all supernatural, is that you have boundaries, and salt is typically
how you keep spirits out, or whatever,
spirits in or out.
Sure.
And so it creates, again, the theme of boundaries. He's crossing this boundary towards his parents.
We have a nice Shining homage here, peeking the maniacal face through the broken door.
Yes,
a couple times here. Alex's parents. And
so good.
The staging is great, and we haven't talked about the cinematography much, but I really love as we're building and telling the story, it's very naturalistic lighting and framing, and as we're building tension, the framing becomes more heightened continually, and then it ultimately culminating here in the way that this final sequence is shot. It's a lot of great close-up shots. It's a lot of go to more shaky cam. We're having these really good dolly zooms coming in, and there we go. There's the Shining homage. I mean, it's just beautiful how that not only is the story shifting tonally, but through the camera and through the framing, we're also piloting that to the audience that this is the tonal shift.
So when you say the framing has become more heightened, can you maybe break that a little bit for
that shot. So as we're seeing the camera follow these characters in a way. We're having quick movement. We're having a lot of jumps. It becomes more frenetic. The camera itself is actually becoming more shaky. We're having a lot of different movements that's unnatural, right? And so whereas earlier in the film we have these kind of big wide establishing shots, we are claustrophobic with our shots. We're in this house. We feel every movement. Where every time
they're literally showing all the walls, you know what I mean? Like they're definitely.
We have these intense shots of these people, of their faces as they're getting attacked. We have everything is frenetic. There's so much movement going on.
We have 2 gunshots to the head. Justine kills in an incredible scene. She kills Officer Paul with a shot through the throat that doesn't work, and then a shot to the head. And now we just see her pop Tweaker James in the head as he's on top of Archer. Archer has seen the children in the basement as they stand there. The catatonic children standing, was that a Children of the Corn thing? I don't really remember that movie. I'm trying to think of another movie like that.
No, I mean, it's definitely kids are creepy. I mean, kids standing in a basement, it's
kids
creepy.
Kids not moving are creepy.
Yeah.
Kids move.
By the way, we saw, so Officer Paul survived the throat shot, but the headshot got him. So is that our wooden stake thing here? They had got to get shot in the head in order to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
The head, that's because Marx's head is completely annihilated. I think you got to get the brain once they're in that spell.
Possibly, yeah. We saw that with his partner as well. That
right.
The partner was Marcus, his husband, was killed. Yeah, I mean, this is, again, considering how they're shooting the lighting, it's dark. And then when we get up close, there's very minimal light, which and we just had Aunt Gladys who's hiding in it. So, I mean, they're doing a good job of, showing what we're supposed to feel at the same time, but we're also countering that where this is our we're scared sequence, right? And then we have this juxtaposition. We're like, wow, that was really intense and really scary. To then we have this hysterical change within just like a few beats.
Archer has succumbed to the spell. Unfortunately, he doesn't make it.
The unrelenting.
I think, did you guys mention that we don't technically know what happens to these survivors of the spell?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. There is uncertainty, but it does lay out that the narrator, child narrator, she does indicate that some people come back and some don't.
Yeah.
Which is haunting.
It is haunting. And then that so much of that was why I love it, is that there was so much uncertainty about everything.
But that's how, so to go back to the metaphor of alcoholism, that's how it works to be a child. Some people are incredible survivors and very resilient, and other people succumb and they lose their voices, let's say. And
absolutely. And then so we just had Alex who took control of the kids, and we have just the funniest.
This is so fucking cool.
Such a great shot. All of it's so well done. I just love it.
This is the chase scene where Gladys is finally running away, panic. Really doing a good job keeping her distance from these fast kids for a while. They would have caught her right away, but again, nitpick. Jumping through the glass is phenomenal. Yeah, is that all CGI?
Yes and no. Some of it definitely is. Some of it's visual effects. Probably sugar glass. Well, definitely sugar glass. But I mean,
there's a few people. There's some chill. I mean, it's basically like growing up in Chico in the 80s. There's like one or two black kids.
It's Anytown, USA. I mean, they do a good job of showing that, and it's just so good.
The falling.
And I remember, I saw it in the theater, and there was maybe 5 of us in the theater, and my dad and I were just dying laughing at just that shot in particular. Yeah. So great. Seeing the kids running in the background. Oh
my god.
I love it. Just an incredible film. I think it's a masterclass of understanding and appreciating horror and the tropes and subverting expectations and creating something while relying on well-torn, well-treaded territory, be able to create something that's original and fresh.
Well, here's to Amy Madigan's Oscar nomination.
That'd be great.
Her Golden Globe win.
Yeah, I would love to see. I think all of the main characters in this would be are deserving of a nomination. Yeah. I think I look forward to seeing her reprise the role in the prequel.
Wow, I can't believe it.
I feel like there's so many movies where like the prequel could be cheap and rely on just dumb things, but I feel like they're gonna do it well.
Hear me out, guys. Hear me out. Yeah. The prequel takes place in Salem in the 17th century.
Well, that would be on the nose.
What if we do that?
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Let's do it.
I love this film. It was you get excited about certain projects and you're like, okay, is it going to live up to your expectations? And for this movie, it did.
Then when it does, it's very exciting.
It's kind of one of those movies that I wish I could be watching it for the first time again to experience it all.
Well, we got to watch it and podcast on it for the first time.
We sure did.
Yeah.
Dustin, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For coming in. This was so cool. We didn't even know where this was going in a way, the format of this pod, and we just ended up watching the whole dang movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
How fun. Amy, look where the Living Directors has come. We've been doing this for
so far.
a year or so. Now we have a real world producer, actor, writer of a film that you're probably going to see, whoever's listening to this, called The Fuzzies.
Improviser.
Yeah, there we go. So The Fuzzies, feature film, horror comedy coming out later this year. I have a Western is also coming out later this year called Timberlands with Wes Studi. Oscar winner Wes Studi is in that one. I think if you liked weapons and you like horror comedies, I recommend checking out The Fuzzies. You can go check us out to find out where you can see it. It will be available later this year. Check us out the Fuzzies on Instagram.
A note on the Fuzzies. I got to walk the set, and I don't know if all sets are that it was so gorgeous. It was just such a incredible moment to behold. You could just tell how much care that went into the art direction, and it was just an incredible set.
I think
aesthetic.
If anything, I'm proud of that film in so many ways, but the production design on that film, I'm so incredibly proud of, and it's such a uniquely visual film, like Weapons, and our film The Fuzzies took place in 1980, so it was very important for us that everything would be authentic to 1980, and so we were very careful and intentional with everything that we saw on camera.
It was truly like a different world.
I implore everyone listening to this, especially if you're from Chico, from Butte County, from Northern California, if you like movies, I didn't know there were real filmmakers in this town until Amy essentially introduced me to Dustin. It's really exciting, not just to have him here, but the fact that he's here in this community doing what he's doing with Josh Funk and a variety of other writers, directors, actors, producers.
Yeah, I think for Butte County itself, there's being incredible films that are happening right now. McCurdy Point, which is another film that was recently done here, that they're having that's a feature film. Really talented crew out of LA, but they're from here as well. They're having their Chico premiere. I think they maybe had that Wednesday night at the pageant as well. That was sold out.
Kyle?
Yeah, that was Kyle. Yeah, and so that was sold out. And the Fuzzies, we're be doing our local premiere. We're having a 3-night run at the pageant. I'd say get your tickets, but it's sold out in 3 days. We'll probably extend our run for that, and then most likely you'll be able to see it in a limited theatrical run next year as well.
Hell yeah.
Incredible. It's at the Fuzzies Film on Instagram, or just the Fuzzies?
Yeah, the Fuzzies Film
Fuzzies
at
Film.
Instagram, yeah.
Watch
Instagram.
this trailer. It is shockingly good. It feels like a feature film
That feels
trailer.
like an insult to me.
That
it's
just feels
shockingly
a little
good.
underhanded.
Well, but
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, I didn't expect people like you to be in Chico. It's an incredible compliment. It's such a high level professional trailer.
I'll take your word for it.
You know how good you are. I'm still learning how good you are, Dustin. Okay, so
Whoa.
I'm not that good.
Shots fired.
So part of me as a producer, I just like to surround myself with people who are better than I am.
Right.
And I trust them to do what they're doing. And I feel like if I'm ever the smartest person in the room or the best person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Well, then I made the right decision today because I'm definitely.
And that's how I feel
the
today.
Well, then
dumbest
I
person
was
in
going
this
to say,
room.
I'm really sorry.
That's how I feel today. Because,
Yeah, it doesn't apply today, doesn't it?
and more, no, I just thank you again. I love what y'all are doing. I love the show, and I think like this is you're coming at this. We have so many shows that are this kind of format, but I think that the approach that y'all are taking with it is really something unique and special. So thank you for the show, and thanks for having me.
Definitely, thank you for being here. Check out She's Amy D on Instagram and
At Living Directors on Instagram. We're on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. Dustin Vaught, ladies and gentlemen.